So Quinn Ewers has been named the starting quarterback of the Texas Longhorns. It's obviously huge, momentous news in college football and the realm of Austin. This news came as a kind of a surprise. Most recently, we had been thinking Quinn Ewers and Hudson Card were going to push in the starting battle all the way through Saturday's spring scrimmage. They had been splitting reps at the one. In fact, Hudson Card had been getting, based on some reports, the majority of the reps as the number one quarterback. I had always expected Quinn Ewers to be named the starting quarterback of Texas this season. He did not come to Texas to sit in 2022. I don't know. I wouldn't say there was a promise made, but I think Quinn chose Texas with the expectation he would be given every chance to win the starting job. And he clearly has to this point. It'll be interesting to see how the locker room reacts to this and some of the dominoes that come out of this experience. I do think Hudson Card, and I might be putting my foot in my mouth, I do think he's the type of guy who's going to stick around this season and not transfer immediately. He's going to finish his degree and play for his hometown team, especially because I expect Hudson to still get reps as the season goes along. But as of right now, Quinn Ewers is the starting quarterback of Texas, and that's huge news. Like, Quinn is a guy Texas as a program has chased since his sophomore year of high school. Quinn, during his sophomore year of high school, was the number one quarterback in the country, the number one overall player in the country, and he kept that ranking throughout his high school career. He is considered a generational prospect. From a pure talent standpoint, he is the most talented quarterback Texas has had since Vince Young, the two number one recruits for Texas in program history. He is a potential game changer if everything can come together. What that's going to look like, I don't know early on. I think there will be some growing pains for Quinn Ewers as he adjusts to the college game. Remember, like, he should be a true freshman this year. He did have a redshirt season at Ohio State, but he skipped his senior season and enrolled early. So this is a different experience for Quinn Ewers, being the starter and being ready to go. It's funny, before we hopped on this stream, I was texting with his dad, Curtis. I think Curtis relayed an idea that Quinn essentially said, now's the time to really get to work. And I think that's true for Quinn and the Longhorns. Now that they've established their starting quarterback, the team can grow around Quinn, and one person can be the head of that locker room. It might be, I don't want to say it's going to be rough early, but it might be difficult early. ULM is obviously a pretty friendly opening opponent, but Alabama is right there the next week. Alabama, a juggernaut with Will Anderson, Dallas Turner on one side, and a lot of All-Americans spread around them on the defense. Is going to be a really difficult task. Quinn likely will have two true freshman offensive linemen playing in front of him, his first or second and third, and probably the whole year as a starter. So it'll be, I think they'll have the chance to grow together. But the good news for Quinn and the good news for Texas is there's a lot of skill pieces around them. Bijan Robinson's obviously one of the best players in college football, bar none. Texas can lean on him to carry the offense as Quinn gets adjusted to the starting role and the speed of the college game and the college defenses. They can really push Bijan as the Heisman Trophy candidate he is. That's somebody you can really count on as the season goes along. And Quinn also has some really intriguing targets. Obviously, the loss of Isaiah Nair hurts Texas. He tore his ACL, I believe. He's out for the year. But they still have Xavier Worthy, a true freshman All-American in 2021, one of the most naturally gifted receivers in the country, one of the fastest for sure. And then guys like Jordan Whittington, who was hurt most of last year, are back for Texas, and he can really aid Texas in the slot. And then there's Texas' tight ends room, which is as deep as any in the country when healthy and when all kind of pushing in the same direction. So Quinn won't lack for weapons this year. I think by the end of the year, we'll see the best of Quinn Ewers. It might be a little rocky at times at the start because he is adjusting to the speed of the college game. I think in practice, we've seen him throw a few more interceptions than the staff would like. But you're making a bet on his arm talent. You're making a bet on everything he can do. I think early on, you'll see him be moved out of the pocket quite a bit. He's more mobile than you'd expect. He can throw from every arm angle you can imagine. He is one of those people like a Patrick Mahomes that can throw from different arm slots, hit different angles. And I think you'll see a lot of that as Texas adjusts to that new offensive line, that new look offensive line that has a lot of shuffled pieces in. So Quinn will aid Texas in that way. But I think for Texas, while it might not look the best early in the year, I think by the end of the year, when Quinn is adjusted to this role, that Texas will be rolling. And I think Quinn will be one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12 by the end of the year. He is that talented, and he's a guy, as Texas builds towards the future, a future in 2023 that looks exceptionally bright when you look at the way they've recruited and how the timeline of these young pieces have come together, where Quinn can be the missing piece for Texas that they've lacked for a long time. So Quinn Ewers is the starter at Texas. Huge news. It'll be interesting to see how it works out early, but I think over the long term, it's a pretty safe bet to say Quinn will be a difference maker for Texas. And this is something Texas has been working for a long time, to say that Quinn Ewers is the starting quarterback of the program. And surprisingly, it came on a Friday afternoon in August, but that's the case. Quinn Ewers is the starter of the Texas Longhorns.